This is Dave Toronto. The name of this podcast is called Cut Through the Noise. The intention of the podcast is to provide common sense perspectives and conversations about things like people, business, communication, and a little bit of life. I'll be doing most of them on my own and occasionally bringing on guests like clients and people in my network. So I look forward to doing it. Hope you enjoy it. And if you do, please subscribe and be sure to share with your friends. So this is take 2 on this podcast. I'm on my new Yeti microphone. I'm excited about that. I wasn't smart enough to realize that the first take on this, I had the microphone on mute. I thought it was fantastic until I realized nothing recorded. So here we go again. And today we're going to talk about what to do and what not to do when you have a poor performer on your team. And poor performance can take on the form of like a poor attitude, or it could be it's just somebody's just not getting the job done, or both. We're going to cover a couple of things that weaker managers typically do with poor performers, why they do it, the consequences of doing it, and then we're going to talk about some ways or ideas on how to deal with a poor performer more effectively. So it's not uncommon, and I see this, and I've seen this with existing clients over the years, and I saw it with myself as a manager early on in my career when I had somebody that, and I made plenty of hiring mistakes, believe me, but if I had somebody that wasn't performing well, I generally held on to them too long. And at least I thought I held on to them too long. Over the years, I've seen people hang on to poor performers for years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And I'm not exaggerating. But I would beat myself up when I would have somebody for, a year and a half, 2 years, which feels like an eternity when you're going through it, for you, for the team, and for them. But what typically happened, and my weakness was that I always felt that I could get them out of it, that I could motivate them out of it. And rarely did it happen. Even if they started to come out of it, eventually they'd lull back into where they were because the job wasn't right for them. They were typically in a role that they just didn't want to be in. They hadn't admitted it to themselves yet, is really what was going on. So the 3 most common mistakes I see managers make is, the first one is they ignore it and they hope it gets better on its own. They don't get out in front of it. They don't talk about it because they're afraid that they might hurt the person's feelings. Maybe they feel badly for the person. Maybe they're afraid of a confrontation. And sometimes they just feel responsible because they've let it go on too long, and now they don't know how to get in the conversation. So that's the first mistake they make, is ignoring it. And all it does is exacerbate it. It makes it worse for the individual, and it completely makes it worse for the people around watching it, all the other people on the team, especially your top performers, because they're looking at you saying, what the heck are you doing? The second mistake, and this is not as common, but I have seen it, and it's painful to watch, is you'll have a manager that doesn't ignore it, but they do the exact opposite. They go out of their way to make the person feel uncomfortable, whether it's berating them, belittling them, passively undermining them, but they allow them to suffer in the position, not performing, go out of their way to not make them feel welcome in hopes that they quit because they don't have the courage to make the decision. So they're hoping that the individual will self-select. And that doesn't often happen. And now you're watching a manager bully someone who feels trapped. Unfortunate, weak, but it happens. And the third mistake I see, and I find I don't understand it at all, is when a poor performer is just transferred to another department or to another manager. The first manager just decides, it's time. I have to get this off my plate. So-and-so can be somebody else's problem right now. And it's not unusual for them not to not even acknowledge that there was a problem until the person's in the other department or under the other manager, and it's quickly realized that we've got an issue here. And this can happen for years inside of an organization where people get transferred from building to building, manager to manager, department to department. Nothing changes, but the only thing that changes is the location and the manager. The employee's the same, the problems are the same, and it's painful to watch, and it's cruel. It's cruel. So why is this happening? What are the consequences of it? Well, I mentioned one earlier. The manager who takes any of these three approaches is losing credibility by the day with everybody around them, especially the top performers. The team is typically watching a manager who's ignoring, saying, "What are you doing about this?" When a manager ignores a problem and then steps up later to be vocal on a different issue, the team just stares at them. They have no belief that manager brings anything to the table. This is if they take a strong stand on one thing, but you're ignoring a problem over here, the team doesn't believe you have any credibility. They don't look at you with the same level of respect. It's a major problem. The other consequence is you're not giving the individual an opportunity to fix things. You're not giving them an opportunity to actually work on the things that are causing the performance to be poor, whether it's they have to improve a skill set or they have to improve their attitude or whatever it is. You're not even giving them a chance. You're ignoring it, you're berating them, or you're transferring them. None of those are acceptable. Those are all fireable offenses as far as I'm concerned if you're a manager. The other thing is you're allowing that person and potentially the people around them to just exist in a state of unhappiness. People that aren't doing well at work rarely feel better about themselves. So you're basically allowing them to feel badly about themselves. And when and if the day comes that they don't work there anymore, they don't leave feeling better. They leave feeling worse. They leave with their head down. And it's not acceptable. So what can we do about it? It's pretty straightforward. It really is. I mean, you want to do something about it? Tell them the truth. Tell them the truth. Even if you've been ignoring the situation for years, tell them that. Tell them that. I've been ignoring this for years. It's embarrassing, but we have to talk about it. Or if you've transferred people in the past and you're about to do it again, say, "Look, I've been guilty in the past of just transferring my problems to other people." Say it. Or you could say, I've bullied people into quitting. I'm not going to do it right now. We have to talk. Acknowledge it, but don't avoid it. So when you do that and you put your cards on the table and you call out the elephant in the room, now you have an opportunity to address what you hadn't been addressing properly, which is their performance or their attitude or both, and give them an opportunity to opt in. Do you want to make this work? I'd like to make it work. Do you want to make it work? And if the answer is yes, if the answer is no, you move them out. But if the answer is yes, then tell them what they need to do going forward in order to continue with their employment. And then on top of that, support them. Help them get there. So if you tell them what's going to happen, or if you tell them what they need to do, and you're supporting them, make sure you're talking about it on a very regular basis. This isn't this ongoing forever thing. You've got to set some sort of benchmarks or goals over the course of a week or a month or 2 or 3 months. I mean, some companies have these plans. They'll go on for 90 days. The person doesn't change at all in 90 days. And at the end of the 90 days, they don't know what to do about it. But if you're going to put somebody on some sort of 90-day get well plan and they're not getting well after a week, well, they've got to go. It's not, I'm going to wait 90 days and then at that point I'll talk to you about the fact that you didn't do anything in 90 days. No. You tell them, look, we're going to go through this process. We're going to talk about it every day or every week or whatever. And if we see the progress that we expect to see, we're going to keep going. But if we hit roadblocks and we don't see progress or we feel like your effort's not there, then we've got to call the game. And the reason you do that is because going on when somebody's just not in it, or if they're in the wrong job, maybe they're just in the wrong job. You're doing them a favor by helping them move out. Losing a job is not the end of the world. It can be liberating. It can be life-changing. But to some people, losing a job or moving on from a job can feel like dying. But there's so many jobs out there. I don't care if unemployment's low. There's plenty of open jobs. There are unhappy people working somewhere else that could easily be replaced by any of us. And then they could go somewhere else. Finding a job is not hard. Finding a replacement for money is not hard. Finding a job that feels good, that you're good at, that you want to do, with people that you want to be around, that's the trick. The job itself, anyone can find a job. That's not that tough. So, where are we going with this? Don't ignore. I'm just going to recap it right now. Don't ignore, don't bully, and don't transfer people. If their performance isn't where it needs to be, don't do those things. You're impacting your own credibility. You're impacting the rest of the team. You're potentially sucking the energy out of the rest of the team, and you're making it more difficult to bring new people into your organization. So what are we going to do about it? We're going to tell them the truth. We're going to tell them what needs to be done in order for them to stay. We're going to find out if they're in. If they aren't, we move them out. If they are, we set some goals, we support them, and we talk about it very, very regularly. And if we find out that it's working, we keep going. If we find out that it's not, we move them out. And moving them out can be a good thing for everybody. Way, way too often what I hear when companies or managers finally make the decision to move somebody out, and they do so with dignity, the person leaving appreciates it. They understand it. They don't feel less about themselves. They feel good about themselves because you allow them to leave with dignity, which is what we owe them. But we also typically get this reaction from the rest of the team is, why did that take so long? Or it's about time. How did that go on for as long as it did? Why wasn't that dealt with earlier? That's a huge lesson for all of us. I've had it said to me. I had a client say to me last week, this was liberating. We did the right thing for our company, and we did the right thing. The manager did the right thing for the individual. So I hope you got a couple of good ideas out of this. We will release this. This is the next one coming out, and then we get another one coming out the following week. So I look forward to your feedback and hope everybody has a great day.